Howdy folks, today's January the 27th of 2024 and look what I have here. A brand new 2024 Ducati Multistrada RS. Just picked this up from GP Motorcycles in San Diego, California. They made me a great deal. They always have excellent service. I bought multiple bikes from them. This is the first one they've gotten. And again, GP always does a great job. They had me in and out of there amazingly fast. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get till later in the week, but I showed up right at the end of the day after a desert ride, and we got this out of there. So anyway, I do already own a 21 V4 Ducati, the V4S, with the, here it is over here, with the 19-inch front wheel and so forth. Fantastic bike. I've used it for some very light off-roading, lots of touring. It's got, I think, over 25,000 miles now. And I've also used it for hill climb competition. There's a hill climb in Mexico, just 100 miles south of the border or so. It's a fantastic hill climb, similar to Pikes Peak. I think better. And they still allow motorcycles, unlike Pikes Peak. So anyway, this motorcycle, equipped with different wheels and our compound tires, still with a 19-inch front, has done very well in that hill climb. San Pedro Martir hill climb, if you haven't heard about it. If you got a Multistrada, especially a Pikes Peak, or you get one of these RSs, you got to check it out. Anyway, on to the bike. So you guys, if you're watching this video, probably know almost everything about this bike. So I'll just discuss really quickly why I decided to get it. Of course, there's no extremely practical reason to get this thing. I will use it for the hill climb, so that's kind of an excuse. I'll actually be competing with it, but then, you know, racing is not a practical activity. But I couldn't quite justify doing the Pikes Peak after having just bought the 21, but then when they announced this, I put down a deposit immediately, and here it is, still January. Got it way faster than I thought I would. So a beautiful bike. It does come with a acro exhaust, the street exhaust. These beautiful 17-inch wheels, single-sided swing arm, lots of carbon fiber, dry clutch. So I'll tell you a little bit about comparing the two just from the first impressions. One thing I do like is, you know, you Ducati enthusiasts are going to hate me for this, but dry clutches on Ducatis sometimes, to me, sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. So I was a little worried, but the clutch cover they give you, of course, is you know, has no openings or anything, so it's actually quite quiet. It's really not much more. You can tell it's a dry clutch. You can hear a little bit when it's a neutral, when the clutch is released, but it's really not that loud. Of course, if you are one of those people that loves that sound, all kinds of new covers you can get to open that up. I will be doing the acro full race exhaust and the tune later, but I guess I'll do another video about that. Cool little feature here. I was told this is the first time Ducati's done this. It actually says the model number. This key actually says RS on it. Fire it on up. It'll tell you it's an RS. And on this bike, you can see there you go, it says RS as well, and it's got additional modes. You guys probably all know all this. The red line's way up there at 13. You compare that to the touring, and we're gonna see this thing does have the Evo tune. Gonna see, look at that red line at 10. So one thing I will tell you is that I have ridden this RS all of 4 miles. It has 7 miles on it now. It had 3 when I got it from the dealer. So in those massive 4 miles of experience, what can I tell you? Well, the thing really does feel a bit lighter. You know, the seating position is a bit different. I imagine if you already have a Pikes Peak, it's not going to be all that much different. You know, probably I obviously couldn't get on this thing because I'm going to break it in properly, so I can't tell you about that potential awesome high RPM power. I will soon, but I would imagine it's very similar to a Pikes Peak, you know, which essentially this is it. It's a Pikes Peak with a dry clutch and a Desmo motor, right? Turns great. It was in sport mode, but boy, it does ride quite a bit more sporty than the V4S. Not that I'm complaining about it. Still rides great, still comfortable, slightly sportier seating position. Right, it's definitely firmer, but it does seem a lot more flickable. I mean, I didn't get a chance to push it, but you know, direction changes are pretty effortless on this, although it still does feel like a sizable bike. You can tell the bar position's a little different. The solid mounted bars, can't say I noticed much yet. One thing I did notice is I did have to get on it in 6th gear a bit at about 60 miles an hour just to avoid a potentially bad traffic situation on the way home. And it doesn't quite pull in 6 at low RPM like the V4S does. Nothing to sneeze about. It got up and it went great, but just not quite the response this thing has, you know, at low RPM. So, but that's, you know, that's what everyone says. The torque curve on the V4S is probably a bit broader and more power at low RPM. You know, this is actually a smaller motor on the RS, but you're getting a lot more power. So how do they do that? You got to rev it up. So it's not going to make the same kind of power down low. So I did notice that. But like I said, still plenty of power. Motor was super tractable. Clutch is a bit stiffer. Clutch feels a little bit different being a dry clutch. The clutch pulls a little harder. Rides a little sportier. It's basically exactly so far what they said it is and what I expected it to be. So anyway, I've talked your ears off enough about this amazing bike. Not sure if I'll keep this. They also give you a smoked windscreen that, you know, matches this. Honestly, having this here in the low position did not bother me one bit as far as blocking vision on the street or anything. You'd have to be really, really crouched for that to be a problem. But I don't know. Carbon fiber is cool, but I'm definitely going to try it also with the smoked screen. Okay, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I will give you more updates as I break this thing in and get the Evo tune on it, etc. Probably put it on a dyno. For your information, the V4S made 161 horsepower at the rear wheel with the Evo tune. So supposedly this one will make 190-ish at the crank with the Evo tune, and so we'll see what it does at the rear wheel. And I'll take it out for some real testing. Okay, thanks for tuning in.